But he says, I was creeping up on this, whatever the situation. Guess what happened? And I yelled out, you woke up. He took after me over the chair. He never caught me.
Yeah.
But that was one of the incidents.
That's fun.
About high school, you know.
And when this Mikado thing was interrupted, I mean, that's real interesting, because obviously that was December 7th,
Yes, yes.
1940.
Yeah,
I don't know what
yeah.
year that would have been,
Yeah,
but it's in the history books.
Yeah.
And you think that was your senior year of high school?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And I just loved to sing at that time.
And you've been a ham ever since.
I've been a ham ever
Yeah.
since, and the only time I get to sing is in church now.
Yeah. But you used to do some skit things at NASA, and the Russian scientist skit.
Yeah, well, I used to have breakfast there in the morning, and sometimes the director, Abe Silverstein, who was the director of NBC, would sit down with us and have breakfast, and there was Jack Schneider, who did some acting and stuff. So Abe says, hey, you guys, you know, I want a performing arts theater here, a theater group. He says, how about you guys starting one? So he and I started a performing arts theater at NASA. And I was in several of the plays.
I think you were in Spoon River Anthology.
Spoon River Anthology, and Silver Whistle, and You Can't Take It With You. Yeah. That was my first thing, and I played the Russian ballet instructor in there. And I had a Russian accent in there, and they thought it was, and that was my first appearance. And the Louis News, that the paper wrote a whole page article on that production, and especially me, that I was outstanding in that, my first production, and I played the part of the Russian ballet instructor.
Wow, that's
and
good.
I had the uniform and stuff, so that was fun.
That
and we did
fun.
a lot of others, and I did even my son Tom, I had him in one of the productions, and that was his first thing at the theater, and he loved it.
You joined NACA, and before 1944. So, and then you spent your career with them. When did you get married, and when
Well, I spent 36 years with NACA and ASA before I retired.
Wow.
And I was around 58. And
sounds younger every day, doesn't it?
Huh?
Sounds younger every day.
Yes. And I was married to Mary Ellen. And
when did you marry Mary Ellen?
We were married around 20 years before we were divorced. But
you must have been married sometime in the early 50s?
Yeah,
or?
I think it was 1950 when we got married. And we got married on Euclid Avenue in the church, and I think the bishop was there and stuff. But and we had a very wonderful marriage. And out of it, we had 5 children, which hello.
Yeah.
You know.
Tell me about the birth of your children and their.
Donna, our first, we were married a couple of years or something before she was born, and remember in the hospital and finding out, and that was probably one of the best moments in my life to see her and to hold her, and she and I really and she was my mainstay for a while.
Yeah, it's magic.
When I was alone in the house, and she was there, and I could talk to her, and she didn't understand what I was saying. She just kept me going, you know, through all the problems we had in our marriage. She kept me alive, you know, and I'll always be grateful to her for that, you know.
And how long was it between her birth and your second child?
Yeah, then Dolores was born, and she was the second child, and she was a lot of fun, just a really neat gal. And, I remember we were close, and I thought I better pay more attention to her, you know, to make her feel that all my attention was with Donna. So, and I remember when she was in the hospital for tonsillectomy, I was with her and stuff. Kathy came along, and she was singing, and she was a delight, you know, and I just really admired her. And like I said, I try to spend more time with her so that, you know, that I'm not spending that much time with Donna and Dolores, you know.
Right.
You know, so, and she was great. And then I had a boy.
Yeah.
Finally had a boy, which we were hoping for. And Tom was born, you know.
Is Tom the youngest?
Huh?
Is Tom the youngest?
No.
He has a younger sister.
And I said, now we're starting to have boys.
Yeah.
And so after Tom was born, and then I said we're going to have another boy, and it turned out to be Judy.
Yeah.
so Judy was born, and I spent a lot of time with her. And
what are your favorite memories of you know those years with the 5 children? What are your favorite memories of each child? You know, if you had to pick a memory that was really special of each child, starting, you know, with Donna and going through to Judy, what memories come to mind?
Yeah, like I said, with Donna, it's my best memories, and she was a straight A student, and in one of the memories I have, that she was given in honor of going to see the Cleveland Indians play, and she asked me to go with her, so she and I went to the game because she got tickets for her excellence in school.
Wow.
You know, that was really neat.
Yeah,
she was a real brain. She's now a nurse, which I'm very proud of, you know, and she got married at 18, I think. One of the reasons she wanted to get married, and I may be wrong, is just to get out of the house because there was some friction. And she asked my permission to marry David. No, I'm trying to think. But anyway, she got married, and the marriage turned out really great. To this day, they're still married, and as far as I know, very happy and stuff. And they have 2 children. She could not have any children, so they adopted 2, Jennifer and I think David. So it was a great marriage. And then Dolores, she went to live with her boyfriend in Indianapolis, and they had a child, and after they had a child, and she decided to get married. And they're divorced, and now she's remarried. And I don't know her new husband, but and
what's your favorite memory of her?
Dolores. I don't know. It was just her personality and stuff. She was just a outgoing gal and stuff, and it was just a thing. I think one of us that part in the hospital when I was with her, and I always didn't want to be with her, and so I just really wanted to, and then we just really,
Yeah.
it was just sad while she was there.
For
Her
tonsillectomy.
tonsillectomy.
That's nice that you were there.
Yeah.
And then the next.
And they all went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
And
then your third child. I'm sorry, it was Donna, Dolores, and
Kathy.
Kathy. Yeah. What's your favorite memory of Kathy?
Kathy, I don't know. She was just a kind of quiet.
Yeah.
And not very outspoken and stuff, but she was just there all the time. And she had this boyfriend, Dave Romeo.
Yeah.
And she must have been with him for 15 years before they decided. And I just really admired Dave because he worked for the city and he quit to go to college. And he spent 4 years in college while they were still going together. He graduated from college, and now he's got a job, I think, with the city of Cleveland. But I just admire, what he had done on his own, and then they finally got married. One of the regrets I had that I was not at their wedding. But we were on a trip or something, but anyway. But it was when we had some friction. But, so I wasn't with her on her wedding or Dolores, but with Donna, I did. I walked her down the aisle, which was a great pleasure,
Right.
And,
You were there at Tom's wedding.
Oh yeah, Tom's wedding, yeah.
Tom and Marie. But what's your favorite memory of Tom as a boy and being his dad?
Well, I think there are a lot, but I think one of the things I remember is that he loved cars.
Still does, I think.
And he still does.
Yeah.
And every year for Christmas, I'd buy him a model car. And he just played with those cars. And today, cars are his thing. And today, and as old as he is, every Christmas I buy him a model car.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
I bought him a car this past Christmas, model of a car I've never heard of, but he did. It was a Ford product, but so.
Well, that's a nice memory.
Yeah.
And then with Judy, what's your favorite memory with Judy?
I don't know. Judy was. It's hard to tell. She was kind of laid back and stuff, and I really miss her. And she. One of the things is that I had to go to court because she was picked up for having a beer in public. Yeah. So I had to go and bail her out because she was picked up for that. But then she moved to Chicago and just she never came home for any holidays or something. She's still in Chicago. I send her Christmas check and her birthday and stuff, and occasionally she'll write to me, but just what she's doing or stuff, she's never, and I know she went into art, and she did photography, and I've asked her to send me some photographs and stuff, the stuff they say, but she never did, But at last I wrote to her and said that we're going to come to Chicago and I look her up, and she invited, says, sure, and I looked her up and she told me where she was working. Unfortunately, we never got to Chicago because Eddie's aunt there lived in Chicago. We were going to visit her, so I thought I would go, but we never got to Chicago.
Let's go over one additional area, and then we'll take a break. Maybe go get some dinner or something.
Come on, it's 6:30.
Yeah, but I was just you've been certainly the father, to me and to my siblings, and
I thank God for that.
I do too.
I really do,
And
it's you guys that kept me going.
You've been a grandfather to all of our children, and
Tremendously.
but these kids adore you, and they, if you just say "holy macaroni" one time for the camera, that
holy macaroni.
I mean, all the memories of the candy drawer and dancing with you in the kitchen, and just some great memories. Yeah. So you and Mom have been married now going on 25 years.
Yes, this coming November it'll be 25 years.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, yesterday your mother reminded me yesterday it was our 30-year anniversary when we met. She even has the day we met.
Wow.
In January.
Wow.
And we met at a dance.
So you were almost exactly the age I am now when the two of you met.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you would have been 49, about to turn 50, right?
Yeah.
Which is what I
threw
am
a
today.
party for me for my 50th birthday.
Yeah.
In which all my kids were there.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that's fun. I just remember our wedding and all my kids were and your kids.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, Haley was born 2 months after your wedding day, so Gail was very pregnant with Haley at your wedding, and
but it was just everything. It just worked out real well because my 3 daughters and you had 3. Your mom had 3 sons, so we were paired off,
Yeah.
like that, which was kind of neat.
Yeah. I remember sometime back then, I think it was shortly after your wedding, that Tom and Maria got married.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think that I videotaped his wedding, or I don't know if I videotaped his wedding or I played guitar at his wedding or something, but I know that I was there, and I remember he had help on the bottom of his shoes. When
yes, when he went up in the altar and knelt down,
right.
and they said help
Yeah.
at the bottom of his shoes.
Well, anything else about early years or anything that you want to recall before we take a break from,
No, I can't think of anything.
Okay.
But anyway,
we'll continue. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. We're back. I'm actually going to switch tapes when we start to talk about that remarriage ministry that you're involved in. But for this, let's talk about your memories of your career and the highlights of your career, and what let's talk about your years at NASA. If we can hear you over Mom in the background.
Yeah. I noticed when you taped your grandmother, there was some sounds in the background.
Yeah, a lot of the beeping from the nursing home and help me now. You remember that woman?
I didn't hear that, but I remember noise in the background.
Yeah.
I thought it was that she did it in the house.
No, it was actually
in the nursing home.
Yep. In the nursing home. So.
Yeah. I remember the nursing home.
Well, let's get your recollections of life and love and sports in Cleveland. Yeah. Your philosophy of life and what your highlights from work. Mr. Well, we start with your time at NASA. It sounds like one of your first assignments was working on the baffles to the engine that allowed them to breathe properly right before that raid on Tokyo.
Yeah, that was
One of the early assignments.
earlier times, I was starting as a mechanic and worked as a mechanic for a number of years, and I thought, well, I should move on. So that's when I started to go to John Carroll in the evenings.
Right.
So
You were studying religion and philosophy and all sorts of things.
Well, I worked all day till 5 o'clock, and then I had a class at John Carroll at 6, which is across town, 30 miles away, to make that 6, and I took 12 hours at night and come home to the family and work there. So it was kind of tough doing that. But I enjoyed John Carroll.
They didn't have 480 or anything back then either, did they?
No, as a matter of fact, 480 was going to be built, and I said, I'm not going to move to the west side as long as it's 480. And anyway, I finally moved to the west side, and after I retired 480, 30 years later, it was built. So now I use it to go to the east side. But I don't go to John Carroll anymore. No.
So you were a mechanic during the war, and then when the war ended, so like in the later 40s.
Yeah.
Was that before you were married? That you
No, I
were
was
going
married.
The whole time you were married.
Yeah. Well, no,
So,
I was married in 1950.
Okay, and you started to go to school after you were married, so
Yeah,
in the early 50s sometime.
Yes.
So Donna was probably a baby. And,
Yeah, oh yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, I went to school that way, and then I was, as a matter of fact, my minor was in teaching, so I was going to be a teacher.
What was your major?
Well, it was teaching was my major, I guess.
Yeah.
And I just took a lot of different classes. I love philosophy and theology and theodicy, and that was a favorite subject of mine. But then I got a break. My boss hired me to work in his office as his administrative assistant. So I did that, and I ran the office for about 25 years.
Wow.
So that was the thing. And I took care of the budget, some millions of dollars worth of things with bookkeeping, which I flunked in high school.
And then I noticed that looks like from your different pictures and plaques and things that you had the opportunity over the years to meet a lot of the different astronauts. And then you met the folks from like was it the Challenger? And,
and I met Armstrong, got a picture taken with him. I met most of the astronauts that got killed during that mishap.
Yeah, the Challenger explosion.
Yeah, that explosion.
Yeah.
And so I was a tour guide. So I used to tour people around and astronauts and show them what NASA was doing here in Cleveland. So that was an interesting part of my job.
Yeah.
So at the end, my boss didn't want me to do all that, just to take care of books, and I hated that. He says, it's time to leave. Time to leave. Matter of fact, I started at NASA at $1,800 a year, which was about 75 cents an hour, I figure.
Yeah.
And when
it's actually not quite. If you work 40 hours a week for 50 weeks, that's at 75. What would that be? Well, it might be about that.
Yeah, well, that's what I figured. But when I retired 36 years later, the difference between my pension and my salary was about 75 cents an hour, so
Yeah, I remember you saying that you
Yeah.
know that it didn't make a lot more sense to
No.
work full time when you were getting.
No, especially when wasn't enthused over my job anymore because it had changed.
Yeah.
My boss wanted me to stick with bookkeeping and do that and take care of the office. And I had about 6 girls working. They were secretaries. I was in charge of.
Yeah. So when did you retire? You retired like in 1982 or something, or 1980?
1980, yeah.
Okay, so you actually then retired right after you were married.
Yeah, yeah. I thought, well, now that I'm married, I have somebody to support me.
Yeah.
So, as a matter of fact, I figured my take-home pay, my pension, was more than my wife's take-home pay. And today, and she worked about 6 years later and retired. Her pension now is larger than mine.
Yeah, with cost of living increases and stuff sometimes.
Yeah. They got that, the state, but the federal government, a lot of the times, we never got a cost of living.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Anything else about, we're covering kind of quickly these some years at NASA. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of different stories.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Any particular stories that you take great pleasure in? Because I also want to have time to talk about like some of these.
One of the guys that the engineers that I work with.